This one's a quickie. One of the questions that I'm asked most frequently from parents is, how do I do this? You're telling me that I need to respond rather than react, that I need to find a way to take a step back and approach these situations, these really stressful situations and problems, with a bit of grace and be able to discern when I need to spring into action and when I can take a little more time to figure out the right thing to do. But I don't know how to do that because I feel like once I get to that point, there's no turning back. That I'm so overwhelmed and I'm so angry and I'm so frustrated that I can't stop. And I just blow up and all of this stuff comes out and it feels really terrible. And I feel guilty and I resent myself for having said that, and then I feel like a horrible parent. That's terrible. I don't want anybody to feel that way. Oh my gosh. And I know that you don't want to feel that way. And I have felt that way as a parent, that I just couldn't stop myself from doing something. The trick with this, well, there are lots of tricks with this. This is hard work, to be sure, but I'm going to show you something that I think will help in the short term to mitigate the damage that could occur. What we want to do is create a pause. We want to create a pause between this space where you're starting to feel really tense and anxious and oh my gosh, what's going to happen because I just want to rip somebody's face off, to the point where you actually do feel like you're going to rip somebody's face off. There needs to be some space in there where we can sneak in and say, is this really an emergency, or is this something that I can take more time to figure out what to do with? So the thing that I use for this is my handy dandy brain model. To briefly introduce you to this if you haven't seen it, this was made famous by Dr. Dan Siegel. His work is brilliant, so if you have the opportunity to read some of his stuff, please do. You'll like it. This is the brainstem. This is where our automatic stuff happens, like breathing and circulating and heart pumping and the immune system. All of these things, this is about survival and getting through the day. This middle part, the thumb, folds in like this. And these are all the here and now functions. So this is short-term memory. This is the alarm system in the amygdala that signals when we are in a threatening situation. This is where the emotional centers live, things like rage and lust and play and some of those deals. And this is also where we take in information via the sensory cortex and start to make some sense of it, like processing language, things of that nature. And then this part up here that folds over is the cerebral cortex. And this is what most people think of when they think of a brain. This is the part that you see from the outside, the big wrinkly mass. So this is the exercise. It's very, very simple. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I feel better already. 10 seconds to take a breather. Now, we know from loads and loads of studies that even, I think, a 6-second pause where you're taking in a deep breath is enough to help to start to reset your brain. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it's going to give you a little bit of an edge. Now, on this particular exercise, I like to inhale as I'm opening and exhale as I'm closing. That helps me. And what I'm doing is I'm representing to myself, while I'm giving myself space to breathe and just take a break, is that I'm saying, I'm getting really close to being at this point. I'm getting really close to flipping my lid, which is what Dr. Siegel calls it, where my here and now, right away, more instinct part of my brain is about to take over because there is no connection between this and the rational piece that steps in and says, well, hey, wait a minute, I think we can do something with this. Calm down, everybody. When these two aren't connected, this runs the show because instinct will always trump logic. That's just how animals are designed to work, and humans are animals. So we want to make sure that we maintain this connection so that we can look at this information and thoughtfully solve problems and really assess the situation before we decide to go off half-cocked and do things that may be detrimental in the short or the longer term. So here I am saying to myself, yes, this is happening. And oh, by the way, I'm going to get my stuff together and I'm going to put everything back so that I maintain this connection and that I can deal with this in a very calm, perceptive, measured, deliberate way. I can do this. This really helps me. And what I love about this is that kids can do it too. My son is 3 and he likes this. He doesn't fully have the motor skills to be able to do all of his fingers separately, but what he'll do is this kind of thing. If he sees that I'm starting to have trouble and that I'm really frustrated, he's watching that. He's a master of body language, as all kids are, because they don't have the verbal skills to be able to express themselves in the same way. They rely on a lot of cues. So he sees my cue that I'm getting frustrated or tense, and he'll say, "Mommy," and he'll smile really broadly. And then we do this together, and we count together, and this helps me, which further supports my point that as a parent, I have the world's best parent coach for me in this house, living with me right now, and that's my son, because he shows me all of the things that I really need to work on and the things that I probably don't want to acknowledge. He puts them right back in my face because they show up in his behavior. So if I can address those, and if he's going to be good enough to look out for me, then we have a great thing going on here. And these kids, they want to look out for you. The rest of their lives largely depends on how well you get through parenthood. Because as parents, it's our job to prepare them to be competent, kind, compassionate adults that are highly functioning and can manage to contribute positively to the world. For us to be able to do that, we need to be able to do that for ourselves. We need to be able to take care of our own stuff. And when they see that you're doing that, that's a very strong example. Not only are you modeling the behavior for them, but you're also putting yourself in a place where you can be able and available to help them when they're having their own little crises. Because in a child's brain, especially in the toddler preschool years and the early teen years, everything seems like an emergency. It's the way that they're wired and the way that the brain is set up to be. There's nothing wrong with that. It's part of their learning experience. And for us to put adult expectations about how they should be able to logically figure things out is completely unreasonable. They don't work that way. They need us to step in and help them, not do it for them, but provide them a safe place to make mistakes. And this right here can give both of you a measure of safety, because this says I'm taking the time to take care of myself so that I can help take care of you, that I can help you with whatever it is that you need help with right now. So let me be here for you. I hope you find this really useful. I'd love to hear stories about how you're using it and how it's worked or maybe hasn't worked for you, or if you have some if you have other great tips and techniques that help you take that pause. We'll talk about more later, but this is my favorite, so I wanted to share it with you today.